and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Black Rims. I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
This is Season 3, Episode 19.
Or Episode 65, if you're counting.
So some of you may have noticed, if you're here live with us in the live stream, that we've tried some new things that includes a new, just be patient and wait for the stream to start bumper, which I would like to actually have redesigned more with us in mind. As well as pre-show music, which we might cycle through some different things from time to time, but what you were hearing today actually was music from as you're walking in to be seated to watch Captain EO either at Disneyland or Disney World. It's not actually in the show, but it is as you enter the building.
Now, mind you, that's for those of you who are waiting here in the chat. For those of you on YouTube, you didn't get to hear that, but you would get to hear that if you were over here live. So, next week, be here live. Just warning for you guys next time.
So that you can understand what we're talking about. I want to also, before we get too far, once again thank everyone who's been contributing over at patreon.com/MarsGirl. You guys help make this show happen every week, and even though sometimes it is difficult or slow for me to get reviews out, those reviews cannot happen without that support, so I want to thank you guys very much. We still got the same subscribers at the $10 and above level, and you guys have been very, very generous time and time again. I really, really appreciate it.
And the more time goes on, the more those giving on Patreon are really going to be contributing to some really exciting stuff that we can't tell you about yet, but hopefully very soon.
Very soon. I'm really looking forward to talking to you guys about it more. Yeah, for sure.
So what's going on?
What is going on? I will at least tease that I'm very close to completing Mars Girl Color Scheme 4.0, so I'm looking forward to revealing that.
That's been hell-defined.
Yeah, but everything is just about good to go.
You know, you would think it'd be easier to find combat boots in a city that's primarily full of military bases.
You would think, right? I mean, it's not that combat boots are hard to find, like, that's not the problem. But cheap combat boots? Like, you're looking at combat boots that are running $80 to over $100.
$135, like, they're really designed for you to kick as much possible butt as you can in your specific field of work.
Oh, and God, this guy coming at us like, oh, you want the ultimate in comfort and in... I'm like, oh my God.
Hey, you do want the ultimate in comfort in shoes. Because you don't want some, like, Payless $15 pair. Like, if that's all you can afford, I've been there. I was there last, 2 months ago. You do what you gotta do. But when you can, you put the money down for comfort on your feet.
Very, very true.
Because as soon as those go, the rest of you goes.
But unfortunately, I put money down on cheap. And
well, we'll get you some insoles. And
as well as it just serves costume function, really. That's about all it does.
Yeah.
So, oh my God, I'm telling you, that guy was like, no, you want to be so comfortable. If you want to kill your feet, get those shoes. But if you really want to live, buy these $113 combat
like this guy lives or dies by shoes. Like, let's put that in perspective. Like, I get it. He was, what did he say? He was ex-military or something like that. So I guess in his mind, things are live or die.
I started the military in 1989. I was like, oh, I was 3. Oh, right.
Yeah. It's like, if he's like that about shoes, is he like that about anything else? Yeah, if you want to live, you're going to eat this cereal. If you die, you eat that. You know, like,
you want to cut the roof of your mouth, you go eat that crap cereal over there. You want real ultimate comfort in breakfast cereal, you spend $7 on this box here.
But then when you put it that way, I would watch that commercial. I would prefer that Fruit Loops commercial to the patronizing, hey, let's watch a couple play Mario Brothers in their 20s. No, I want a guy that's like, if you want to live, if you want to see tomorrow, you're going to eat Fruit Loops. That guy I would trust because he wants me to live long enough to eat Fruit Loops.
Very, very true. Okay, what else do we want to talk about? What our stories are going to be?
We have stories. Oh yeah, that's right. We haven't showed you. Okay,
yeah.
So tonight's stories. First up, first story that we have is Final Fantasy Explorers, a new game that was announced
a few months
ago, but today we got some new information on it.
New information and new trailers in regards to some classes, and it's starting to look like, hey, like a legit Final Fantasy title that's multiplayer and such. And I just kind of wanted to get into that because so often I rant lately about Final Fantasy titles, and I don't want to do that this time, so that's where I'm going with that.
Second story has to do with, we kind of let it simmer for a bit, so now we have a little bit more to bring to you guys about the rumors that have been circulating for the last at least about a month or so, and now they're starting to pile up more as filming goes on for Star Wars Episode VII. There's a lot of weird stuff, a lot of not so weird stuff. We're going to fill you guys in on that.
Right, and finally we did also want to talk about what could have been possible with this original Metal Gear remake that Konami originally gave its blessing to, and then has kind of about-faced and said, you know what, nah, we need you guys to cut that out. Very disappointing. It was looking very, very hopeful, but we'll talk about just how hopeful that was a little bit later on in the program tonight. So until then, what else do we have to talk about? We've got other follow-ups?
We got follow-ups. One minor thing, and, you know, just about everybody should know it. This weekend marks the world premiere of Doctor Who's new season, starring Peter Capaldi as the Doctor. Most people will have the opportunity to watch that on BBC or BBC America. You also have the option of watching it in theaters. We're still debating whether or not we're going to do that.
Right.
This looks to be a new season with a new flavor to it. There's a lot of news there that apparently Jenna Coleman, who is the current assistant to the Dr. Clara, is apparently leaving the role come this Christmas. So she's only been there about a year. You know, that's kind of quick.
I can't make much commentary on it because I don't Doctor Who. However, bringing this new season up, though, like, I so hard don't Doctor Who, especially, like, reboot on Doctors. Probably because I feel like the last two were especially meme kind of generating material, and
well, I understand that,
and that just kind of isn't my thing. However, like, I recently had a dream, right? And
which is weird because I would figure I would have this dream, not you.
Yeah, well, I had this Peter Capaldi dream, right? Doctor Who Peter Capaldi.
Yeah, the newest Doctor.
And, like, for some reason, he got really pissed off, which seems to be his character here. Like, he's not a very happy doctor. And I don't know who he was having it out with, just whoever, you know, enemy of the day was.
Yeah.
And rather than using his sonic screwdriver, he punched the guy in the face. And then I remember in my dream, I was watching this, and I stood up and I applauded. And I was like, all right, this is what I'm in this for. Like, it just kind of
maybe you'll get lucky this weekend. Maybe he will be a doctor who punches somebody in the face. We haven't had that in a while.
Maybe. So I think, yeah, I could get into this particular doctor and just realize, if you ask me Doctor Who questions, I mostly can't answer you, because it's really just not even my thing.
Yeah, so there's that. A little bit of other news. There is a film festival out in Los Angeles called LA Ega Fest that will run from September 12th through the 14th that weekend. That particular film festival will be showing two films that we've talked to you guys about. The newest Rurouni Kenshin sequel, the Kyoto part, and the Lupin the Third live-action movie. So if you guys are out there in the Los Angeles area and they're available that weekend, I highly suggest you guys go out there and report back to us how that went. Because we're waiting feverishly for the legal option to watch those movies because they look like they're
amazing,
amazingly done and very accurate. So wanted to make you guys aware of that. On some other numers...
What's a numer?
I don't know what a new rumor. That I'm making that word up right now.
Hashtag numer.
Hashtag numer. It's not a numa. So, in other numers, not quite Justice League related stuff, there's been the rumor that Shazam has been slated to be in that movie as well, along with all the other people, and the person most tied to that role in some way, shape, or form is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
So does that mean he's actually like a 10-year-old or whatever?
Well, no, more than likely he would be older Shazam, but this is the thing about it. Currently, he has not said, again, one way or the other, who he's playing, but he has at least narrowed it down to either playing Shazam or his nemesis, Black Adam. Now, if you ask me, he pretty much looks exactly like Black Adam. When he has hair just a tiny bit longer, looks like the spitting image of the guy.
Somewhat, I guess I can see it.
But there's this thing going back and forth of, well, he wants to play Black Adam because he actually likes Black Adam as a character, but the studio wants him, because he's now more marketable and known to a wide audience, to be the hero and, you know, be the guy that's on the cover of, you know, the movie poster. And I get that, but I don't know, I just kind of think let him go with the role that we all know he should do better, which is Black Adam.
Right.
Just let the guy do what he's best at, and don't try to push him into a role. Anytime a studio has tried to push somebody into a role, I don't think it's been a good idea. I mean, we're all still getting... I think we've gotten over, I should say. We got over George Clooney being pushed to, oh, Warner Brothers thought it was a good idea. Let's get the ER guy. He'll be a good Batman. No.
That didn't happen.
That didn't happen.
No.
So, hopefully, we'll be able to know one way or another which one he decides. But we've at least got it narrowed down to 2. 2 is better than anybody. So there's that.
Very true.
Kind of similar to a story we covered before, we talked about the Nightmare Nights and the Resident Evil live sort of event that they would have
from Universal.
From Universal, and that, at least as far as Japan is concerned, involves some fans getting a hold of basically laser guns and being able to tag these Raccoon City zombies.
Well, now somebody's giving you real guns, almost. Okay,
yes.
More like
airsoft
guns. Closer to a real gun.
Yes, over in the Gunma Prefecture, they have set up a Resident Evil survival game.
Which will run right up until almost Halloween, the day before Halloween. Which
yes.
I think is pretty timely and very cool.
Yes, they've cordoned off a whole warehouse that they're setting up to look like Raccoon City, and you get actual airsoft guns, which you can rent. You can rent costumes, like they're giving you what you want. Like, this is the event.
You can buy, like, some of these specialty airsoft guns are ones that I know people in, like, the con circuit, they go nuts when they see these brands show up at dealers' booths all the freaking time. So yeah, they've set up this amazing Raccoon City with cars that have been trashed and bloodied up and caution taped and a big old welcome to Raccoon City sign and stuff. So you can run around, you can do capture the flag, you can
escort
mission. That would terrify the hell out of me, because in any game I cannot stand escort missions, because the dude I'm escorting is always like, huh, that looks like a bad guy over there. I think I'll go run off of my track and go try and punch it in the face, even though I'm a scientist and I shouldn't be
Here's
doing
my
this.
question. Do the people playing the scientists you're escorting in this live event, do they act like that on purpose?
I don't.
Or are they actually going to act
like
like people and stick close to the people protecting them?
Because, yeah, it's scientists that you have to protect. Like, they've got special documents that need to be protected from point A to point B, and you have to not let these other guys kill these zombies kill your scientists. That I couldn't do it. It would make me so mad.
Now, admittedly, they've kind of got an event like that around here where we live, and we've been thinking on and off, like, you know, they have it every, like, 2 months or so. Maybe we should try it out. This makes me just want to try it out so I can get the feel for it.
That's true.
Because, yeah, we do the zombie walk every year, but there's that visceral feeling of actually feeling a projectile come out of the thing you're holding that'll give you that adrenaline rush that I'm sure fans will be signing up for this to get.
Now, is the thing in our area, is that airsoft or is that paintball?
It's airsoft.
Okay, because I've done paintball events that are similar. Like, that's not hard to find, but...
Yeah, but that's airsoft. Somebody... I imagine the zombies there are very well padded, I should hope. Otherwise, you're in for a world of hurt.
Very
and that's
true.
Putting it lightly.
No, I'm sure it's well enough padded.
And the last story we wanted to cover is kind of related to a story that we covered before about Guardians of the Galaxy, how everybody was very inspired by this. That's why it actually made it back to the #1 spot on Monday, because screw Ninja Turtles. But something I don't know that we mentioned, but I'll go ahead and bring it up anyway, is that Chris Pratt, who plays Star-Lord in the movie, went on record as saying that he purposely stole at least one copy of his own costume for his own collection. Now, admittedly, if you're an actor in a comic book movie, I don't see why you wouldn't do that. Grab a whole costume for you. Like, I would have done that immediately if I was working on a movie like that.
Yeah, well, you're technically not supposed to.
Yeah, you're technically not supposed to, but he went out on interviews saying he did this. But what?
So clearly he didn't care what the studios thought.
Well, because he says in the same breath why he did it. He said that he wanted to have the costume on him so that he could go out and visit sick kids in hospitals and make them feel better. Now, admittedly, there's some other movie stars that do that. Johnny Depp is notably one of them. He carries a Captain Jack costume on him just in case he drops by a hospital and wants to make kids feel a little better. Well, here, we actually had confirmation that he made good on his word.
Yeah, there's
Chris
photos
Pratt
and everything.
Went to a children's hospital just this past week in Los Angeles, the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, and visited the kids in full Star-Lord garb.
Very, very nice gesture.
Yes, and he also brought, since he was also in the Lego movie, you know, very popular this year, brought a full-sized mock-up, or not full-size, but a replica mock-up of the actual hospital that the kids are staying at, and gave it to one of the Make-A-Wish kids who was there, and gave him a bunch of Lego stuff, and even acted out some of the movie with his own little figure there.
Like, that's a one-of-a-kind thing right there.
Yeah,
that
that's...
particular hospital being recreated just for one kid. That's awesome.
And that's the fact that not only did he say he was going to do it, and some people would think, oh, that's lip service. This guy actually went out and did it.
Mm-hmm.
And that, like... That's a hero right there.
Yeah,
he's living up to who he is in both movies. Some guy who says the little guy can be just as big as the big guy, and you know, props to Chris Pratt for that. I am glad.
Absolutely.
I that puts even more support for me to get on top of Lego Movie 2 and Guardians of the Galaxy 2 when those come out.
Excited for both, and really, I wasn't a huge fan of the Lego Movie, but. You know, I think the Lego Movie, for a lot of people, it's to them what Wreck-It Ralph was to me. Because not everybody's a gamer, and not everybody is a Lego or real toy enthusiast. And that was great for those people who grew up on Lego stuff, and that just wasn't so much me.
Yeah, see, that was me. That was me.
It otherwise was just a fantastic movie, and definitely looking forward to the second one, for sure.
Yeah, so yeah, big ups to Chris Pratt on that. So yeah, that pretty much covers our follow-ups. We can now get into the main stories we got for this week.
Alright, fantastic. Well, I did want to talk about Final Fantasy Explorers. So again, this got announced by Square Enix a couple months back. It has gotten... its rights held in place here in the US and the UK, but there has been no announcement as to when it will actually be released in either parts of the world.
Actually, that's not true. The release date for Japan apparently is December 18th of this year.
That's not what I just said. Yes, there is a release date for Japan, but there is no release date for either the US or the UK.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said either one. Yeah, no, you're right.
Okay.
So yeah, we're going to have to wait a little bit longer on this now.
I'm certain that we're going to get it because they've already held the rights down for it in both Western locations. But either way, we just got some trailers for some of the classes that will appear in Final Fantasy Explorers, which is the real main reason why we're talking about it today.
And this is for the 3DS,
This
correct?
is for the 3DS.
Okay.
This is going to be up to, I believe, 4 players. Which is going to be really cool. Granted, you were able to do that in, say, the Crystal Chronicles series, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. But this looks like it's going to be just a little different, because it's going to be easier to choose classes, it looks like, or switch classes. We're looking here at Knights. Knights look like fun. They also have footage for, I think, Black Mage, and for Monk as well. Monk looks like a lot of fun to me because I really love Two-Fisting it. But
see me, I'm going Knight all the way.
Oh no, I typically would go for Knight too, but if I ever have a bladed weapon, I usually want it to be a two-handed weapon. I don't want to be limited by a shield.
If you have the option, you always go for the dang giant hammer.
I go for giant hammers or great axes.
Uh-huh.
Two-handed weapons are amazing to me. This game is boasting like 100 to 200 hours of gameplay.
That's a lot.
That's pretty freaking extensive. So this is Not looking like a standard RPG where you've got a menu system and an active time or a wait battle system, but rather an active RPG, an action RPG.
Really, to me, it looks a little bit, and I'm not saying it's a rip-off by any way, in any way, shape, or form, but just feel-wise, it looks a little bit more like Monster Hunter to me.
Well, I can see why you'd say that, because it looks really open world like that, where you can run up to... It appears that that's how you can run up to these monsters. And it looks like here you see them fight Ifrit at the end of each one of these battles.
These clips that they've loaded.
Each one of these clips for each of these classes that they've loaded. And it looks like many previous Final Fantasies, that's how you might acquire said summon, by attacking it and beating it, and then you get to keep it. It looks like there's going to be about 20 jobs to choose from. That's pretty impressive too. So you're looking at, knights, monks, white, black mage, dragoon, paladin, thief, ninja, red mage, time mage, hunter. Like it's pretty impressive. The music sounds pretty good too. The official YouTube channel has released a couple of background music tracks over the last couple of months, and they also have remembered that the victory fanfare is a thing. Like, that's important to me. Like, this actually looks and feels like a Final Fantasy, especially...
Because I hate to, pick at old wounds, but wasn't that something you were complaining about, was the lack of the victory fanfare in
13.
In 13.
And I make that complaint because I just feel like certain audio cues are like those little things that, like, what does dude from Red Letter Media always say? You might not have noticed it, but your brain did. Like, that's how you really get that feeling of coming home, like familiarity. Even if it's not the exact same game, you know that it is correctly labeled as this title because it has these elements that make it what it's supposed to be. Not everything needs to be the same, just little things. The composer actually is Tsuyoshi Sakito, who worked on a number of other video games, worked briefly doing the arrangement for things like Final Fantasy Origins and Final Fantasy Chronicles and Dissidia, Final Fantasy III, so he's done some other Final Fantasy work before in the past, as well as all kinds of other video games. I'm looking at Metal Gear 2, Solid Snake, looking at Last Remnant, Third Birthday, just a lot of
Kingdom
stuff.
Kingdom Hearts, Dream Drop Distance.
Yeah, just tons and tons and tons of stuff. So he's a pretty competent composer and has done a lot of work in a lot of things that I respect. The art style of these characters very much looks like it came out of Final Fantasy III as well as Bravely Default. It's that same...
Yeah, I was going to compare it to Bravely Default.
Yeah, it's that same character art from the both of those things, which I'm fine with. It, again, ties it back to something else that does solidify it as, yes, it belongs with a Final Fantasy title on the box. So, all in all, I'm basically saying I really hope that we can learn of a US release date sometime in the near future, because I am incredibly interested in seeing how it plays. Because
to take it into perspective, at least for you, you've been waiting for a Final Fantasy title to get excited about this much. As soon as you saw this game footage today, I saw your face light up again with that delight that you usually have when you're talking about, like, 6 to me or 9 to me.
Well, yeah, because the last Final Fantasy title I did that about was Bravely Default, which is not a Final Fantasy title.
Yeah.
However, I guess, apparently from what I understand, it was originally designed to be a Final Fantasy title. Why you wouldn't put the name Final Fantasy on something that's plainly more of a Final Fantasy than Final Fantasy 13 was, I don't know. But
what about something like 15?
I don't know yet. I still don't... 15 still looks like it could possibly be a decent enough game, but I don't know whether or not I can call it a Final Fantasy. At least that's me giving it more credit than I ever did 13, which always just plain looked like a bad game, and then it played like a bad game. It smelled like a bad game, too. And that's how I knew it was a bad game. But, but no, I'm actually legitimately excited about Final Fantasy Explorers. I'm excited to hear them drop background music track after background music track, too. Like, I think that's a really nice gesture, and, we haven't yet seen how multiplayer looks together all in one space. I'd be interested in seeing how that functions. So I hope
that will affect, I think, a lot of people's decision as to whether or not they buy this thing, whether or not it's, you know, just your solo play or you can actually play with other people.
Well, you can play with other people. That's what it's boasting. It's just we haven't seen how it works with other people. All we're seeing is one player against one monster in each one of these trailers. Then I'm curious to know if it's all local play or if you can do network online play.
Well, in that respect, then it does remind me a little bit more of Monster Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, that's fine if you're mixing the two things together. You know, traditional Final Fantasy class systems and monsters with that interface, that seems like a very simple equation that will make people buy it.
That's true. And I really feel like this is a game that most likely is going to deserve the title it's given. I wonder if being on the 3DS will hinder the number of purchases it could possibly achieve. Like, if this were to be on a console, like a home console rather than a portable console, it would probably sell more. I'm concerned about its potential sales. That's the only other thing I think I'm concerned about.
Because, you know, 3DS, you're talking like what? Between $40 and $50, right? At launch?
It's about a $35 to $45.
So break even, let's call it 40. I think that's easy enough, you know, with most brand new 3DS titles that people would be willing to at least pay that out of pocket just for the name Final Fantasy.
Oh, easily. I mean, they have you spending like $15 for mobile versions of Final Fantasy titles, you know, so I don't think that's all that hard to reason purchasing a physical copy for that much.
I would see most people picking it up. I know you'll probably pick it up. You would pick up a hard copy, not a digital copy, though.
I would prefer a hard copy to a digital copy, by far, easily.
Because that's just you and your collection.
Oh, yeah, my collection, like, I don't think I even have any digital copies of any of the Final Fantasy games.
It's all hard copy.
It's all hard copies, yeah, I prefer it that way. It looks most impressive over there on that shelf.
And I compliment you for that.
So I think I would like to...
completionist attitude.
If I get it, I'd like to get it day one, whenever day one happens to be. And if it happens to be network, internet multiplayer, I will play with anybody. So, here's hoping they announce more information soon. I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that.
Alright, so let's go ahead and move on to our second story, which, of course, has to revolve around the rumors having to do with the plot of Star Wars Episode VII.
And we're Final Fantasy VII. We're Star Wars Episode VII people. We're just Star Wars people in general.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, I was just talking about Final Fantasy. Like,
yeah,
I think that was
I get
a very natural
it.
slip.
So anyway, there's a lot of stuff coming out recently about where the plot of this movie is going. And like we said before, for the most part, your guess is as good as ours.
Can I just say that some of these rumors are really stupid?
No, like, we're going to get to that. What ends up happening, you know, as time goes on, everybody thinks they've got, oh, this is the key piece of evidence. This is what's going to be the big scoop, that we found this piece of evidence that the plot's going to go this way or that way. So let's get one thing out of the way right off the bat. So, for certain, J.J. Abrams was involved with a little charity giveaway for the Star Wars Force for Change.
Yeah, and I remember if you donated a certain amount, then you were in this drawing to get all sorts of Star Wars stuff, or spend time at Skywalker Ranch or something like that. All kinds of crazy stuff like that.
Right. So when that promotion was over, J.J. Abrams tweeted this picture, and I'll see if I can link it there in the chat. of a thank you note. And the thank you note is, of course, for people who gave to Force for Change. But the biggest thing about it is that the hand that happens to be holding this thank you note is very decidedly robotic. Mm-hmm. And from there, I think that's where some of these rumors have spawned off from about a robotic hand or a hand being at the core of what this story is about. And you're like, what do you mean by hand? Well, let's go by these rumors one by one. Mm-hmm. Okay, first and foremost is this idea that two of the new actors in this movie, Daisy Ridley and John Boyega, will come across a hand, and they haven't said one way or another what kind of hand it is. Let's get that out of the way first. And they end up coming to the conclusion or finding out that this hand belongs to Luke Skywalker. So right there off the bat, that's the first
please.
Weird one.
No, please.
Okay, so, like, the first thing I thought when I heard this rumor, and this is before we got the picture of the robotic hand, mm-hmm. which of course could still belong to a droid or a cyborg or anybody else.
Because in the Star Wars universe, surely there's other people who have had droid part implants by this point in time.
Right.
It can't just be Luke Skywalker and his now deceased father.
Right. And the first thing I think is like, yeah, okay, I know you guys aren't talking about his severed hand from Empire Strikes Back, because that thing...
It's been floating around in space for, like, 30 years.
How did it get into space? It fell out of Bespin. Like, no, that thing would have degraded, or, like, some flight-capable creature on that planet might have plucked it out of the air, and that was its dinner. Like, it can't be that hand. No, there's no way.
So now you're saying people think that it's the robotic hand.
Which brings up another question. How did
he lose his robotic hand?
Yeah,
did he just, like, take it off? Like,
was there a kitchen accident?
I'll take it off, I'll just kind of set it here. Then he goes to work the next day and, like, oh, man, I left it on the table. And, like, somebody comes along and is like, ha-ha, Luke Skywalker, got your hand now.
And then they pawned it on Tatooine, and then it ended up in space, and there's all this other stuff. Dude, where's my hand? Basically.
And then Luke's not just like, well, I gotta go get another one. No, these two kids gotta go be like, hey, Mr. Skywalker, I heard you were missing your hand. We brought it back for you. Like there was, like
here's the hand right here, guys.
He started hammering wanted posters onto sides of buildings.
Well, if he was hammering wanted posters, how did he hold the poster up and hammer when he's only got...
Force, Josh!
Oh, okay,
Force!
Fine, the Force. Okay, that's fine. The Force. So, I think you guys get the problems with that first rumor. That's how that happens. That drives the plot of the movie, and that takes these two characters in contact with Han and Chewie, like, oh yeah, we know who that used to belong to, right, Chewie? Because I can't really do the Chewie noise. I'm sorry. So that's rumor one.
Like, and if people find this hand, it's like, why do they care? Why do they care who it belongs to? That just, no, I can't believe it. No.
No, okay. So moving on to the second rumor. The second rumor is that the Inquisitors, who happen to be the antagonists of this upcoming Star Wars Rebels TV series, have captured Luke. And they captured him actually really close to the end, or right after the events, I should say, of Return of the Jedi, and they've been holding on to him for a while.
For 30 years?
I don't know. That's why this is a rumor. We can't tell one way or the other. And they're saying that in this version of the story, there would be a lot of flashbacks, and we would get to see a younger Darth Vader. Now, that doesn't mean Anakin. That means, like, Darth Vader before A New Hope.
Uh-huh.
So, there'd be some of that, and there's also rumor that there would be a young Princess Leia in this script.
I mean, some of this sounds a little more feasible, but at the same time, like, really, Luke had been captured for that long? I can't see it. Can't see it.
No, like, by the end of Return of the Jedi, if you're not counting expanded universe material, which we're not...
Which we can't.
Yeah, because we can't now. He's still a pretty powerful, basic Jedi. Mm-hmm. He could have gotten out if he wanted to, or Han would have gone after him, or even Lando would have gone after him. Somebody, Wedge, anybody, would have gone after him. So there's that one. And then after that is kind of along those lines is that there's only one Inquisitor who's a half metal cyborg, and he's the one whose hand that is holding out the note in that J.J. Abrams picture, and that he's working with stormtroopers and snow troopers working on a ice planet not too dissimilar from Hoth, and also on a forest not too dissimilar from Endor, and they're building a new Imperial super weapon.
I mean, that sounds about this much more reliable, especially because we did get photos of new Storm and Snow Troopers recently. And plus these other shots of Han Solo dressed in different gear, like the snow gear.
Now, the thing about that is that we can't confirm one way or the other whether or not those pictures are legitimate. However, there has been these pictures floating around of these new, supposedly for this movie, Stormtrooper helmets, and I'll go ahead and link that as well here in the chat. You guys want to go ahead and take a look at that. This Stormtrooper helmet
you're going to have to take off the large. I mean, right now it's clickable, but if you want to make it visible in the chat, copy and paste it again, just remove the large from the end.
Yeah, I got it. There we go. Okay, so as you guys can see here, these Stormtrooper helmets, the one on the bottom kind of looks like something you would see on the Death Star. The top one is more of a streamlined version of the Stormtrooper helmet that we're used to.
Classic Stormtrooper helmet, yeah.
Which I'm fine with. If that's
I think it's alright. I think it's a very natural sort of evolution.
Yeah, if you go from, of course, the Clone Wars to, the original movies to now, if they streamlined it a little bit more, yeah, that's fine. I could see that. Mm-hmm. And of course, I imagine people in the 501st all over the country are like,
oh yeah, like surely somebody's already trying to construct at least the front part of the helmet.
As we speak.
501st, I have to be the first official guy, and they have to let me wear it. And
I get to wear it till the celebration next year, huh? I just imagine.
Oh, please don't do the...
Okay, fine.
The asthma thing.
But you see here, this purportedly is legitimate. Granted, we haven't gotten anything official other than little pictures.
Where are we getting at least the rumors from?
They're circulating from anywhere, from any number of sites like Latino Review, Superhero Hype.
Latino Review?
They're a really big site for spoilers and not. They were one of the first sites to break the script for Nolan's Batman Begins.
Huh, I had no idea.
They've been around for a while. There's been a lot of sites, coming together trying to figure out, okay, so which of these is legitimate, which of these aren't. And then the last one, the last rumor that we have for you guys tonight is that, along with those pictures of Han Solo, which really you could give or take, anybody could have drawn those.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
Is this idea that Chewie and Han are in charge of a super star destroyer, and they're doing stuff there.
Well, I mean, okay, you figure after the Emperor has died, there's no more Darth Vader, it's entirely possible for the Empire to start to crumble, and for perhaps somebody can just eventually hijack a Star Destroyer.
Well, you say that like you don't need a bunch of people to drive a Star Destroyer. Like, I don't think it's exactly the Millennium Falcon where you could just get on and have two people man this giant ship.
You had a whole... Did you see how many people Han Solo was in charge of during the rebellion on Yavin 4? Not Yavin 4. On,
you mean on Hoth?
On Endor.
No, on Endor,
Endor's moon. At the Battle of Endor, he led a lot of people. All those people could have been like, alright, how are we getting off this planet? Not all of our ships can take us back, right? Alright, we're taking that Star Destroyer. Right there. Just get on. Take it. They're not going to need it anymore.
Well, okay, let's look at it this way. All those rumors aside, which of these, with as much grain of salt as we can, let's figure out which parts of these might be feasible in just the little time we have right here. Okay, so as far as the Star Destroyer thing is concerned,
I don't know about that.
Based off actually what you just said, I can believe that some of these new people that have been cast are part of like Han's current crew. I'm fine with that. Like, he's got his own little band of people on a Star Destroyer and he's out there just being a rogue.
That's true.
Out there in the galaxy. I can buy that. There's, of course, been the idea that a lot of people have had that specifically John Boyega's character eventually becomes a Jedi under Luke's tutelage. I can buy that.
Sure.
You know, people have been wondering about that. Nobody's entirely considered whether or not anybody who's been cast, other than, you know, the Brits and Max von Sydow, are going to be evil characters. Like, they might not all be good.
Well, they might not all be bad.
Well, yeah, but it's kind of the default setting that everybody's assuming that they're good people, that they've got the best of intentions.
Well, if you take the Old Republic, for example, they pretty much assume that all people who speak with a British accent are bad, except for the one lady who defects over to,
Wait,
well,
you mean Dorne?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she defects from the Empire.
Right.
And joins your crew, then, like, she's the only one that's not bad.
Yeah, you and Havoc Squad.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, I don't know if he would go that route. All I know is that I don't know that they've left the Old Republic alone as far as canon is concerned.
As far as I know, they have.
But they sure did like saying, haha, British people are bad, and people who speak with a North American accent, they're good, and I don't know. I don't know if they would keep that or not.
Right. So, you know, there's certain things to take into account here as to where people are getting their sources from and how much it would fit into the lore and the tone of these movies. Because one thing we can't really tell from anything J.J. Abrams has said thus far is what the tone of this movie is going to be. Mm-hmm. Just that we're going to be sending off our old guys and bringing in the new guys. That's all we've been told.
That's
so
true.
As far as that goes, yeah, we're going to have to wait a little bit and see what story he's going to tell that sends off Luke, Han, and Leia and Chewie in a way that not only uplifts them, but brings these new characters up to, okay, now you guys got to carry the torch.
Yeah.
And
you got to really make me care about a new set of people.
Right. But at the same time, you don't want to shaft these people that we've been waiting so long to see.
Very true.
Because you think about it, too, and I don't know that we brought this up before, these movies, this next trilogy, 7, 8, and 9, in some people's eyes, we wonder, now that Abrams is at the helm and not Lucas, if these aren't going to be referred to as the Apology Trilogy.
I don't know. Like, I'm just saying, they've got to make up for a lot.
Yeah.
One, they have to make up for a lot, and then two, they also have a lot to live up to.
Yes. Because now you've got
shoes to fill.
Because, yeah, it's not just saying that sentence, big shoes to fill. It's not just one generation that was going into the prequels. Now you've got 2 generations deep, well, maybe even 3, with hopes for these movies.
Well, my opinion is that it's beating episodes 1, 2, and 3. That's not going to be hard. Like, I've seen bad stop motion that did better than episode 1.
Yeah.
But trying to live up to this ideal of what Star Wars really was that launched it into this incredible pop culture sensation, can it really fulfill that duty? That's what I want to know. And I think all of us really hope that it can actually do it this time, even though we've been burned a couple of times before. You know, just like any other really hardcore fan,
just like Anakin. Burned just like Anakin, I'm sorry.
Just like Sonic fans, just like Mega Man fans, and even Final Fantasy fans.
Even Kamen Rider fans.
Been burned enough times, and yet you see like this glimmer of hope. And you go, I'll give you one more chance, baby. Just please don't do it to me again. I'll give you one more chance. And that's how I feel about it too. And there's enough different writing behind it that I think it's got the opportunity to shine.
Yeah, well, the most positive thing, and we'll leave off on this, is that we can confirm that Harrison Ford is, in fact, back on his feet, and they're on set.
Woo!
So, some people have brought it up in the chat. Whether or not he's limping, that's fine. At least we know he's there.
Yeah, if have an old man limp, I don't care.
If worse comes to worse, Chewie can carry him. He already carried 3PO. So I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Very true. So, alright, that having been said, I think we'll move on to story number 3.
Metal Gear.
Which, by the way, that trailer has said in it all over the place.
Okay, so let's put this into perspective for you guys. So, some people here have played Metal Gear.
Yeah, and we're talking about Metal Gear for the MSX, which was then later kind of hacked up a little bit and mashed up and put onto the NES. So
Right.
we're talking original Metal Gear, as in I feel asleep and oh no, the truck are starting to move.
Yeah.
Lines like that.
The OG. Here.
Yes, good old English and everything. So there was a group by the name of Outer Heaven that started recreating the original Metal Gear game. And it was looking pretty interesting. Like, you can see they were looking at different camera angles for what previously was this top-down sort of looking set of rooms, and then they were able to turn it isometric. The trailer shows the camera moving down the hallways, stuff like that.
Now, you think about stuff like this is like, to me, what a remaster should be. Don't do something that's just one generation gone. Take something like that from the NES age around that time and bring it into the current and give it a nice polish.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people would also agree. There's some purists who are like, yeah, Metal Gear is hard, but you beat it like that because that's the way it was released. I'm one to think that, yeah, in some cases you do that, but in other cases, Metal Gear, especially once it hit the NES, was kind of a broken game in a lot of ways, too.
Mm-hmm.
People you killed would just come back just because. You could go back and grab some of the same items over and over again if you left a screen and then came. Like, there were some problems with the game. Like, let's not look at this through nostalgia goggles. So a remaster would be incredibly interesting. What was really fascinating about this project is that it actually had Konami's seal of approval for a while.
At first.
For a while. And they even said, hey, so long as you're not making money on it, we are okay with it.
Right.
But then, as it turned out, we just recently found out within the last couple of days, the guys behind the project said that the project had been shut down, and that it was because of Konami, who then turned around, did a 180, and said, you know what, we can't have you doing this. And that's just kind of felt like a slap in the face, and you're going, okay, why?
Yeah, because you imagine they're putting all this time and effort into it to remake this game and bring it into the current generation. That's one thing already. But then you come to find out that good old David Hayter himself, Solid Snake, it was on board not only voicing for this game, he was actually helping out with the script.
Which is something that he does. He's a script kind of guy. Like, he does that. And that might have even been part of the reason why Konami was like, whoa, okay, you're getting a little... Well, a number of people have suggested it, like, oh, you got too close. Like, you actually took our voice actor. You actually took
Y'all weren't using him right now?
I don't know. Like, or they want you to forget about him because they want to move on to other voices.
Yeah, I get that they want to use Kiefer Sutherland, but no, come on. In people's minds, it's David Hayter all the way.
Oh, yeah, I absolutely agree. So they had David Hayter on the project. They had other people from, like, Ubisoft, from Insane Games, somebody who'd worked on Fire Emblem and the Infamous series, working on voice acting. There were actually quite a lot of promising individuals from the industry working on this project, and they released this incomplete trailer that had, again, some completed in-game footage, and then a whole lot of artwork, plus David Hayter's voiceovers, which he had basically nearly completed, as far as I understand. It was really quite fascinating to look at.
And you think about this, and then for those people, and I think you're one of them, who remember the rise and fall, because it never fully got there, of this idea for a Chrono Trigger update that never happened.
That happened 2 or 3 times, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just that all over again.
Yeah, because there was one amazing, freaking amazing, down to every single last little detail, remastered and re-rendered CG Chrono Trigger that was supposed to come out, and the trailer that they released for it was freaking beautiful. So freaking beautiful. It was like these flat 2D pixels just popped off the screen
into 3D,
and it was amazing. It looked a lot like Dragon Quest VIII.
Yeah.
It looked like PS2 Akira Toriyama artwork characters. I mean, they weren't cel-shaded like Dragon Quest VIII was, but really, really friggin' fascinating. And what did Square do? C&D.
Yep.
Cease and
Because
desist.
that brings up the question with these fan projects that you know beyond the shadow of a doubt that they have their best interests in mind. We want fans of this game to be able to appreciate this on current consoles and bring new fans to the market. Why can't we have nice things, Konami? Why can't we have nice things? Why you gotta be like that?
I mean, it's the idea of, hey, it's our IP, we want to protect it, we want to protect sales of our IP.
You've already got your new games.
Yeah, who's out there buying Metal Gear right now? Metal Gear, as in MSX and NES Metal Gear.
Yeah.
Like, who's doing... You could argue, like, is it on the Virtual Console? Is it on Nintendo's Virtual Console
Offhand,
right
I don't
now?
know.
That I don't know. You could argue, like, oh, nobody's going to buy the Virtual Console copies. And I'm sitting here wondering how many copies of that sell very frequently. I really want to know.
Because you think about it, in a lot of these cases, and this is the way I take it, you've got fans doing your work for you. The easiest
Konami,
thing...
hire them.
Yeah, the easiest thing you could do is if you're Squaresoft at the time, right?
I think it was Squaresoft
for
at the
Chrono
time,
Trigger,
or
or if you're Konami here, let them do the work for you and then buy them out. That would be the easiest thing for you to do, and then everybody's happy. You're happy because you didn't have to do the work, and then you get your paycheck. They get a paycheck for their hard work, and then you just put their names in the credits. That's it. Why can't it be that simple?
Because money.
I mean,
because money. I'm sitting here thinking, well, nobody's making money now. That's my thought on it.
Because, see, that's the thing about it, like, the phrasing up front. You can do the project so long as you don't make any money off it. That's not to say we can't make any money off it. That doesn't mean they couldn't have feasibly done it.
Like you said, they should have just bought them out. Like, hey, keep doing the work. Like, I almost think that if it's a fan's dream that hard, a fan will freaking do the work for no pay.
Yeah.
No pay and just be satisfied. Like, people enjoyed the thing that I did, and now I'm getting the recognition for it. Like I